So this is my setup here today, okay? This is one of the bathroom ones, and this is all the gear that I need today for the initial step. I'm gonna get the other bathroom one. So we're gonna start with the two bathroom ones. We're gonna separate them, and then I'm also, of course, going to bring, actually, this is gonna get a little messy, but that's fine. I'm also going to bring some of the other ones in the games room, the bay window. So you can see I have a shitload of pothos here, okay? This is gonna be a multi-video project. I'm gonna start one at a time, and then we will see where we end up, okay? So this is gonna be a multi-series pothos project, but first and foremost, I'm gonna start on the bathroom. So here's my plan. First, I'm gonna dismantle this long one, and I'm gonna isolate the vines that I want, that I can plant. Secondly, I'm going to then dismantle these two over here, and I will amalgamate these two moss poles, and then I will replant them in this big pot and the small pot. The small pot is gonna have small moss poles, okay? So I'm gonna start in the big pot first, and then I'll do the smaller pot. I know getting your hands dirty is inevitable, but I just want to do as much as I can to make it easier to clean up after. I mean, it's just, I know it's never going to be perfect, but man, dirt on your hands, sometimes you get things that stab it and all that stuff and really sharp bits, and it's just annoying. So just for pure ease of logistics purposes, I am going to wear vinyl gloves, okay? Call me a sissy, I don't care. I just don't want to end up having to have super dirty hands. So as usual, the beauty about this is that my soil mix is going to be similar to all of them. It's going to be a mixture of pumice, bark, and premium potting mix. Okay, I also got this today, by the way. I decided I'm going to invest in it because actually it's quite good control. Anyway, so let me just mix this thoroughly. As usual, I put some Osmocote in there. There we go. Okay, so that's ready. Okay, I got my small shovel. Cool. Now, actually, I'll do this later. First, let me isolate. First, let me isolate this pot. Okay, let me just isolate the vines. Okay. So this is from a friend of mine called Greg. He's obsessed with plants as well, and he asked me to go to, I asked him for some clippings, and he said, you know what, I'll give you clippings if you help me fix the other vines. And I thought, you know what, I actually enjoy that process. So I thought, you know what, I'll do it. I mean, at the end of the day, he didn't ask me for sexual favors, thank the Christ for that. So I'm all good with that. So you gotta be careful. I really want to retain as much of the structure as possible. I will trim some, I will keep some back for kind of getting it to root. But because I have so much of it, I'm actually just going to probably just plant it direct onto the soil in most cases, because, you know, pothos are pretty robust, and they are not sissy little plants, especially when it's mature like this. This is strong, this is robust, doesn't need you to hold its hand anymore, okay? So he gets this, and I told him, these suck, why do you bother with them? They really suck. Like I said, I'm going to try and retain the structure because, and I'll show you why in my plans, okay? I'm going to retain the structure He's obsessed with these self-watering pots. He's really obsessed with them. And these plants, oh wow, look at that. Whew, shit. That is root bound to hell. So that's even better because I know that that plant is strong. So actually, yeah, I mean, that plant is strong. There's not much soil left in there. So I'm going to break this up. I'm going to break this up and tease it open. That's going to be a really, really good plant to replant. Okay, need some room. It'll grow well. Oh, let me just move that mass. I have to move the mass, the massive amount of plants. There you go. Just be gentle with it. But yeah, so you can see that's super mature. That is a super mature plant. I mean, that is excellent. And at some point, you're going to have to cut the roots if you want to separate them. They'll rip. But your goal should be to try and keep them as together as possible, as intact as possible. Like, this is going to take a while, actually. Shit. Yeah, that's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough one. Wait, shit. Whew, okay. Yeah, that's a hard one because some of them have just a small root. So I'm just going to have to just tear into it and hopefully we don't damage it too badly. But that's inevitable. That's inevitable. You can't help that. Okay, there we go. Hey. Yeah, you can't avoid that. You can't avoid it. Okay. Where am I going to put it once it's... I think I'm going to have to just put it in here. Shit, this is crazy. This is crazy. I have to attack it one vine at a time because otherwise it's impossible to know which vines are which. Actually, I'm struggling now, so there you go. All right, one vine down. Here we go. Shit. Okay. You know what? I think I'm gonna have to hang it. How do I hang this? Oh. Okay, doesn't matter. All right, let's just one vine at a time. Oh, another vine. All right, there we go. The super long ones I will save for this bathroom one because I want to be able to twirl it around. And then the slightly shorter ones I will earmark for what, like, I mean, look at this root system. That's a great root system. I'm going to save that for the hanging one actually because, wow, okay. Shit, I don't even know where to put this anymore. There you go. Separate them. Okay. I think these two will go into the front door. This one is looking a little bit pathetic, but let's see if we can rescue it. I think I'll have to rescue this and propagate it, okay? I'll put my propagation ones over there. This is another short one, okay. Okay, there we go. What's awesome is that there was hardly any soil in that because the plant was so mature, it's just eaten up all the nutrients and broken down all of the stuff. So anyway, I'm gonna now decommission this, see what the state of it is. Look, you're probably thinking, oh, that doesn't look too unhealthy. Doesn't matter. I want to repot it so it looks better and just more longevity of the setup. Okay, so there we go. The mistake I made when I put it in here was I mixed sphagnum moss and all that, and then, I know it's stupid, I forgot to take the plug. I thought there was no plug, and it was just, yeah. Anyway, mistakes happen, and here we are correcting those mistakes. That's what it comes down to. So let me, and also I thought, oh yeah, I'll just stick some of these branches directly into the moss pole, and half those ones died and just rot, and they just didn't make it. And some of the ones that did make it, I could tell they were just stunted and crap. And so I was like, oh crap, okay. I mean, over 1 year it started to grow okay, but I think I can do better. I think I can do better, and so I'm going to fix those issues, okay? I'll fix those issues. You can see the roots are also quite healthy, but I want to get rid of the sphagnum moss. They're not really nutrient rich. You can see the roots not very good, yeah? So, and then I also cable tied hard into the pole, and so, I mean, look, that's not so bad, but it just didn't, it's just not, it didn't root as well because I cable tied the bejesus out of it. So, like I said, learnings. You learn and you get better at it, and then you can start again, and then, so what I'm going to do is all of these plants and stems on this plant, most of that, if not all of it, I will actually keep for the bathroom lots. Okay, I'll keep for the bathroom lots. So let me take this, like, look at that, like, I don't even know why I did that. I just cable tied it randomly, and it's like, why would I do that? But it's okay, you learn, you know. And you'd think, oh, maybe because, you know, I want it to root, but it's not on a node, so I just made a mistake, you know. It's just stupid. But there are some healthy vines in here, you know. They're not, by all means, they're not bad. It's just, can definitely do better. Definitely do better. Yeah, there we go. And then there are some roots that really have grown in, and that's great, but I might have to trim that because it's in the moss pole. But let's see, like some of the roots, and I'm going to use this moss pole again. This moss pole is still great. Like, I actually put some fertilizer in the moss pole, so, you know, it's like this, for example. I just stuck that in with no direction or intention. I just kind of went, oh yeah, it should be all right. And it didn't, like, this struggled to grow. This took a year to grow. But now I'm like, that can be better, you know? Oh, well, I snapped that one, damn. Okay. Oh, fuck. Oh, well, that's okay. Shit happens. Okay. Let's still give them a go. Yeah, and some of the branches are dead that just didn't like it. Didn't like the transition, the repotting or whatever. Okay. It's moss pole number 1. Let me just go and get myself a stick. I've got quite a few sticks, and I will use that as a base. So look at that. I mean, these are nice looking things. Just needs to be redone. So I'm running out of space, but we'll do it. We'll do it. Putting plants everywhere, geez. Okay. Yeah, some of these are pretty nice. Okay. We'll just get rid of this. I don't get rid of the soil. I keep them for my raised beds. They're spent, but they're medium. So mediums are good, right? So any medium is a good medium. Like this one here. This is trying to survive real bad. Trying to survive. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm probably just going to bury it or propagate it. Let's see. Let's see. There's a point where you kind of go, well, I've got too much now. What do I do with these? So it's not like there's endless demand for it in your house, but the more you have to start off with, the better. Okay. I've got so many hooks and so many loops to try and secure them to the moss pole, and I'm going to go through them now and dismantle them all. And also earlier on, I was obsessed with cable tying them, which I now realize constrains the thickness of the branch, so it creates like a kink, although they adapt pretty well, but obviously not ideal. It's like wire I found to be my go-to now. It's just that the wire is just so good. And okay, let's yeah. So these are the first two that I started when I first started, and you can see just there you go. They're just messy. Yeah, see, look, root system not very good, not very good root system. Planted them wrong. Okay. Like this. I just stuck it directly onto the thing. I mean, how ridiculous. There. I mean, look. I don't even know what to do with that. It's broken in parts. The fact that it survived, but what I'm trying to do is make sure that from this point, all the growth is intentional and the vining is intentional, and that's just, yeah. I mean, why did I do that? Far out, okay. Bloody hell, what a mess. There. Okay. Okay, that's a mess. That's a mess. But of course, we've got to get rid of the old roots, but them decomposing over time will just kind of turn into compost inside, but you want to avoid that if you can. So now I'm going to just how do I do this? Okay, so anyway, that's done. Okay, that's done. So now it's time for me to fill this with whatever medium I want. But I need to figure out what to do with this moss pole first. One is bigger than the other. So one is bigger than the other. So I could actually probably just shove it in. Shove it in. There you go. And then I could probably cable tie it with the pole. Oh, fuck, really. Oh, bloody hell. Okay. Sorry about that. Admin, okay. There. Oh, shit. There. Go. Oh crap, what happened? What happened? There we go. Okay, it's a good looking moss pole. Now I have to just reinforce it with a couple of sticks because that's how it kind of stays at the bottom. So those sticks also need cable ties, of course. Cable ties are your friend. It's like suturing. Have you ever sutured? Maybe not. There we go. There we go. That's pretty strong. I can live with that. Okay, I can live with that. Okay, so now we have to figure out what goes in this pot. I want a good mixture of ground dwelling. A good mixture of ground dwelling. This one is screwed up now. I snapped it, so I'm going to keep it for propagation. Actually, you know what? I'm going to just give it a whirl planting it. Why not? I want this to be a mix of green and golden. So, some golden. Then let's that. Okay. I'll mix this with the golden as well later. Okay. Some green. Okay. So these aren't the longest ones. I will save this for hanging pots. I will save this for later. Okay. This one can go there. Let's first establish a base. Let's first establish a base. This is going to be quite challenging actually, because I think I'm going to need another pole to keep it up, or else it's going to fall. It's too tall. Let me have a look. Okay, so what I did was I had to reinforce the pole with a thicker pole. Actually, I didn't put record. My apologies. But anyway, I'm at a stage now where I took a really, really long vine with lots of legginess, and I'm going to bury it. And I'm going to take a second vine that's also very, very leggy. Okay, you can see here, right? But they all have nodes, and they all have roots coming out, aerial roots. Those are golden stuff. That stuff is phenomenal, because they will actually, there's a delayed gratification, but what you'll find is suddenly you're going to get this rooting of your plant, and then boom, it's going to just take off. So I'm going to bury it relatively high in the pot, because at the end of the day, you want the root to dig deep, right? You want the root to dig deep, seek moisture down the bottom. So you don't want to make them lazy by putting them right in the bottom already, because then the roots have to grow upward, and instinctively roots don't want to grow upwards. Instinctively roots want to go downward, right? So that's, the roots want to burrow. So it's getting quite difficult to try and bury this, because it's so many vines. But this is actually going to be one of the best ways to hide these vines, and also accelerate growth later. So this is like this process is like a bit of an investment when it comes to potting your plant, because then you suddenly have massive amounts of growth a little bit later. The hard part is trying to keep the vines down, okay? The vines down. So I'm just going to try and staple them, because I need them as flat as possible so they don't come up. So I'm going to use some off-cut wire just to shut them up. Shut them up. Okay, there. There you go. Okay, there. So we've got two long vines that I'm going to twirl. And then we have these other vines as well that I'm going to twirl. But these ones already have roots. They were aerial roots in the moss pole, but I'm going to do the same. I'm going to cut the leaf, and then I'm going to bury them. Okay, I'm going to bury them there. There we go. There. And then some green. This green. Look, same thing. I'm gonna bury that. There's some roots here. Okay, and then there's some roots here. This one I might just put on the surface, but like I said, we're running out of space, but let's just try it. Let's just try it. At the end of the day, it's not an exact science. Okay, so you can see what I'm doing is I'm kind of putting it where I'm intending it to go. Actually quite easy to work with, these pothos. They're not too annoying. They're not too annoying at all. I mean, this is interesting. How do I work with this? Okay, don't know, but have to work with it, so. Shit, oh. Okay, yeah, all right. I can do that. I can do that. Let me, yeah, okay. There we go. I'm going to use a lot of these things today. These plant things, and I clip them. They're really handy, strong enough. Now we have these low-lying bushy ones, leafy ones. So what we're going to do first is I'm going to put a layer of soil. Okay. Once again, I don't want to fill it up because I need to first start tying it up. Okay, I need to start tying this up. There we go. This it's starting to rain. Whew, it's okay. I'm under cover, and a little rain is good. A little rain is good. So I am going to just do this. I don't want to do it too tight because I want it to kind of naturally grow into the moss pole, not artificially winding it to the moss pole. So I'm going to, there you go, this. Make sure all the leaves are exposed, and what happens is that they eventually bend out and then seek light. So you want to and this one I'm going to try and do this the opposite direction because it just gives it a better look. And when I see a root, I just want to shove it into the moss pole, a long root, and give it a head start with burrowing into the moss pole. Sometimes they don't actually burrow that deep into the moss pole because they try to seek water, but obviously, you know, they don't always get the water, so they don't always succeed in finding your, yeah, there we go, okay, there, like this. like that. Okay. You want to make sure you don't have anything that's caught in the middle, because then they rot and they get all shitty, and you don't want that. Okay. And then you have this. There you go. I'm going to use a wire. Lots of room to move, but I use just my scissors to cut the wire. Eventually my scissors is going to go blunt, but you know what? Doesn't matter. The convenience of being able to just cut and use the scissors is so good that I don't care. I don't care. Okay, this one needs to be buried a bit more because, yeah, okay. See, look at that. Be buried a bit more. And then we have this dangly bit. Let's, oh wait. Oh, got another dangly bit, it's all right. This one here has a lot of aerial roots, which means if we put it close, it should in theory grow really nicely. But you see, the problem is that look, it's okay. Let me just wrap it around here. Let me wrap it. Let me wrap it, and I'm going to feed it through so it's actually held together by another vine, and there we go. Tighten there. There we go. There. So this root, I'm going to just stick it a little bit onto the ground to make sure that it, now you can see there's a big gap here, but where I'm going to put it, it's going to be a lot more light from one end. So I want to be strategic and putting the darker light, the darker branches where the light is, right? So there you go. I mean, now I'm thinking, do I want to twirl it or just let it run up direct? That's the hard part. I think twirling it is better. Over time, it'll grow taller and it'll, yeah, there we go. Look at that. Okay. And then we have these low-lying ones. They're just going to get buried. They're just going to get buried. Okay, this one, let's see if this survives. Okay, let's see if this survives. This is a hard one because this one is a little bit exposed and it's kind of hanging, but I'm going to take a wire that the more kinks and bends the better, because then you can kind of use it as resistance. So I'm going to use this. I'm just going to peg it like that. No, wait, wrong one. Wait. There, no. Fuck. There you go. There. And then there's lots of roots exposed. You can't have that. So I'll pile on the soil. And then what I'm going to do, I want some new growth on here, some new plants. So I'm going to take a chopstick, going to make let's get some of these. And then let's dig in. Oh, too late. I should have done this earlier, but man, should have done this way earlier. Now I'm screwed. Okay. Damn it. Can't now. It's too tight. But I'm going to bury it this way. There we go. There. There we go. Look at that. So that's it. That's my new plant. It's a lot more plants around, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to leave this out in the rain. I'm going to leave this out in the rain and let it get watered naturally. There we go. There. Now, time for the second one. That's pothos number 1. Of course, it has to settle and grow further, but that's just the way it is.